Brother Masada, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. How's everybody doing? It's a good day.
Okay. And Brother Derek is here with us also. Uh, he must have stepped away there for a minute. But
Well, good to be here. Let me work on my visuals here.
okay. But in the meantime, before we get started, Masada, I think there's a announcement that is very much in order. Uh, we filed our papers to become a 5013C.
Yes, officially, it's happening. It's happening in real time. You all, as an audience, everybody gets to be a part of it. It's happening in real time, so everybody can understand what we're doing. They can not only see and hear and feel the vision, but once we get established, we're going to put out a way that you also can be a part of the movement. And this is what we're doing: community elevation. It's a coalition for everybody who believes in that and what we stand for.
Yep. Yes, sir. Moving right along, and also kind of a pre-announcement, I guess I'd call it. We are also teaming together with the World Beat Center to do something for Kwanzaa. We're not sure if it's going to be the full 7 days or the full three days, but we will be making that announcement also. Demetrius is tied up somewhere tonight, but he has brought a lot of statistics into the game, which is his forte. So tonight, Masato, let's talk about the strategist, the advocate, the voice reminding us that communities cannot rise on empty stomachs and empty promises.
Yeah, man. So with that, empty stomachs, empty promises. You're feeding up. They're taking away SNAP, then they're giving it back. They're trying to backtrack and give a little bit more. Um, all while it sounds good and it sounds like, hey, look, this plan is given out. But I always relate that to like a king having a big hall filled with food, and he's just giving out bread to everybody else, but he has all this food over there, and it's just him and his court. And that to me, it seems what's going on with the politics and with America right now. All the big businesses, it's not just politics. To me, politics ties into America as the corporation with the big businesses. For this past holiday, I did celebrate it. I didn't celebrate the horror and trauma that was passed down with it. I celebrated the good memories of being around good people. We went to the World Beat Center. It was a good thing. Shout out to the Heart Coalition, the Heart Found Coalition. Their President Rachel and their staff and all, they helped put on a great thing at the World Beat Center for Thanksgiving. A lot of families were there, a lot of different people. Basically, it was there for vegan food, and it was the speech that I remember that stuck in my head from her was, "We're all one, including the animals." So it was a vegan meal, but the way she referenced that we're all one, including the animals, really hit to me because she was looking past color, gender. She even looked past as the human race down into animals and just as a soul. Um, and that's what I would like for us to look at when we're thinking about it. I was sitting there eating with people and giving thanks, knowing that it hurts that there are a lot of people around the world, but in our country don't have that privilege to even eat anything that I'm eating right now. And I was wondering why. And then I thought to myself, the people who are supposed to lead us and help us, there are too many of them that they're not starving worth nothing. They don't care about the regular normal people. Um, that's really disheartening because I mean it's just greed. There's no other way to reference the American society and the world system of today's pettiness when it comes down to something as moral as just the human right to eat. The basic need for food.
Yeah, Brother Derek, we got you here.
Can He's having technical difficulties. He's probably going to come back in.
Yeah. We'll uh, as I said, Dimitri isn't with us tonight, but one of the things that we were talking about was painting a picture of the real America, and that's in one America, billionaires are launching themselves into space, and in other, parents are choosing between medicine and groceries. So, what does this divide look like? So, of course, Demetrius brought stats. The 10 richest Americans gained $1.1 trillion since 2020. The median black household wealth during the same time was $24,000.
Hold on. Reset that number right quick. I'm drinking my ginger beer because my stomach hurts, but I think that just upset my stomach even more right now. Repeat that.
The 10 richest Americans,
10.
10,
Okay, that's 10.
gained $1.1 trillion since 2020.
5 years.
Okay. The median black household wealth during that same period was $24,000. I didn't say 24 million. I didn't say 240,000. I said $24,000. So you have food out inflation outpacing wage growth.
Hold on, James. We're gonna do this unconventional tonight because we don't have our members here, but I want to do those numbers. You said the 10. You said 10.
I said 10.
1.1 trillion. 10, right?
Yeah.
And you said the average black medium household in the U.S. is 13.6% of households have a black householder, according to the 2021 data from the Census Bureau. That means that 13.4% of the population in the second quarter of 2020, while 2023 data showed that that's 48.3 million people in the U.S. identified as black. So 13.4% out of 48.3 million. So you're telling me millions of black households didn't beat 10? 10? Not even close? Not even close to one household, one white household, honestly, right?
How many black trillionaires you know? But but you know, and
Wow.
you know, now we didn't. I remember we didn't say the median income. We said wealth. How
Yes.
much wealth
Wow.
they possess.
That's still
And
wild. Wealth, income, any numbers. Numbers. 1 point, I ain't that smart. 1.2, 1.21 trillion or 24,000. I think that's a long, long way off.
you think so? You
Yeah,
know.
a little bit. I might bet on that one.
you, you know. But anyway, as we know, Demetrius' things is numbers. So let me go on here. Let's see. So uh, the widening wealth and income disparity in the U.S. is driven by a combination of economic, social, and policy related factors. The wealthiest have benefited from stock market growth and from tax policies. Lower and middle income families have been driven, excuse me, have seen their purchasing power eroded by slow wage growth and inflation. Capital gains, and you know, not a lot of people know what capital gains are because We're not in that bracket. But capital gains and asset appreciation uh, disproportionately has benefited the wealthiest individuals who hold the majority of financial assets, which we have just said. Uh, the median black household wealth remains significantly lower, as you had just said. 1/10 that of the median white household. 1/10. Historical and ongoing systemic uh, inequalities, including discriminatory housing and labor practices, all feed into this. And eventually, we'll talk about some other factors to that. I wanted we need Brother Derek in here. Brother Derek, can you at least hear us?
I can hear you. I'm not sure what's going on with my picture right now, but I absolutely can hear you. I'm tracking you. I even
Okay.
shut it down and came back. So,
Oh man,
oh, goodness.
hey, uh, you know, maybe we'll be in track. Who knows? But anyway,
Who knows?
So, but let's kind of get back to what we were talking about here when we were talking about the two Americas, the feast versus the scraps. Uh, Brother Derek, historically framing this plantation economy or industrial starvation, uh, Reaganomics. Starvation is America's tradition. Nobody wants to discuss.
Yeah, you're right. You remember what was it? Maybe 6 weeks or so ago, because of course we just came out of the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, and this president has authored the three longest ones, actually, quite. But what happened then was you had all these pictures and video of all these service members standing in the lines at the soup kitchens and the food banks, and that those optics were so bad for the person whose principal uh, calling card for getting elected was they were going to bring down prices of everything, make things more affordable, make the economy more robust. And yet you had people who, families of people who were, standing watch, protecting our country and doing all these things that we know that service members, and both of you guys can attest to this much more than me. If you're not a military officer, you're on minimum wage practically. You got a place to stay and you can shop at the commissary, but ain't a whole lot more after that. And yet you're putting yourself in harm's way, and your families are home scraping, trying to figure out how to buy a can of peas and keep the lights on. And that looks terrible. And I think that caused him at that time to promise to come in and find the money to pay them. Now, of course, that's the job of Congress. And of course, you had sent Congress home because you shut the government down. But, yeah, that's how it is. And so if you keep poor people or the working poor or people living on the margins in a state of constant chaos, it's very difficult for them to, I think, in many instances, become really politically active and be change agents because they're just scraping by, trying to figure out how to live from day to day, and that's tragic. But as you say, it's by design frequently. It's not happenstance.
I think you know better than all of us, because these were some of the uh, uh, things that you cut your teeth on being with Dr. King. we talked about some of the same things back then. Where you had the good grocery markets over in that neighborhood, but the A and P was
Yeah,
where we went to shop. You know,
you're
so
absolutely right. And one of the things, in fact, I mean, I live in a middle class neighborhood, that very close to actually where one faction of the Ku Klux Klan was founded on Stone Mountain, Georgia, actually. And so when we were moving into this neighborhood some 33, 34 years ago, there was a whole lot of white flight, taking place because it was an all white neighborhood at that time. That's a very, very diverse neighborhood. We have lots of Asians and not a ton of whites, but whites and Latinos. And so, but what you find in these kind of neighborhoods, even though it is pretty solidly middle class, the top end stores are not. You don't have Costco and you don't have um, Publix. The only Publix close to the neighborhood shut down and moved. So those are the things that tend to happen in our communities that are still principally African American. It may not be that way in California, but it well, particularly maybe not in San Diego. Maybe you got access to everything, but it's a lot of the rest of the world. And so you're right; those are the things that Dr. King stood for, and most of his ministry, quite honestly, most of the people that he sought to bring relief to were poor, and they were the less educated. They were the least of these. They were the people that were the voiceless, the people who faced the deepest levels of oppression and Jim Crow, because that's how it is in the Deep South. That's why seven of the eight governors that I had to work with, and the senators in those states refused to expand Medicaid. They didn't care that people had health insurance, and they didn't care that people were were struggling. And so those are the people, and in many instances, that's the base of this president. And so as November 1st came and people got to see what health insurance costs, they already see what the tariffs are doing. I know we're going to talk more about the 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 impact of the tariffs in just a minute, but yeah, those are all real things. And it's what did Malcolm say, that the chickens will come home to roost at some point, right?
it's, I don't know if it's the same everywhere, but uh, one of the groups that we're talking about is Kroger. Now, Kroger out here in California has two, no, three very distinct shoppers. The lower end, and I know a lot of people, might have a little contention with this, but the lower end is Ralph's, and those are the ones that are in most of the mixed neighborhoods, or. But now, if you go down to uh, Mission Valley, then you have the pleasure of shopping at Vaughn's, which is also Kroger's, but that apple that you pay 25 cents for in Ralph's, you now pay 35 cents for it in Vaughn's. Now, if you happen to be on the high end, there's a place called Pavilions.
Hmm.
And Pavilion, that apple will cost you 35 cents. But that neighborhood is also very affluent. And, unless you're driving, you probably either don't know about this neighborhood or have no business in this neighborhood. One of the three. But I say that because when I first came out here, there was there was a grocery strike on, and my first job was with Ralph's. Uh, we were scabs, but that's that, that's a whole nother conversation. I'm I've been out here 6 weeks. I need a job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But anyway, you know. So after the job would after the strike was over, they decided that the same job that I was getting paid $15 an hour for during the strike, that now in order for me to do the same job, they only wanted to pay me $10.25 an hour. So needless to say, I went to Vons and I got a pay raise, and I stayed there until I retired. But talking about closing stores, you got Kroger's that you know is closing stores all over the country under different names, of course, but they're still Kroger's. You got Whole Foods that are fleeing neighborhoods, but then you got dollar stores that are multiplying like weeds. And unless you live around a neighborhood that says Martin Luther King Boulevard or something like that, you might not know what a dollar store is. But anyway, uh, why do you think black and working communities always seem to lose access first, brother Demetrius?
There.
No, I want to ask you first.
Oh, me? All right, all right.
I mean,
Well,
beside, I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. I was like, did Demetrius sneak on?
Is it?
Um, I feel
I
like
got all his stats here. I'm gonna read them to you afterwards. Go ahead.
he's great. I know he gave me some great ones that's coming up for the conference I'm doing next week. We got some good ones for us. Um, it's not just the grocery stores and the dollar stores are, but the 99-cent stores closed too. I don't know if you knew that, but the 99-cent stores they closed. Um, I noticed that more with just it's not just those type of stores. It's all. When I first got out to California, the biggest shock to me was I had a friend living in PB. I stayed in City Heights at the moment. And if you're from California, San Diego, you know City Heights. But I stayed in City Heights at that time. When I would go to over to kick it with him, gas would be 10 to 15 cents cheaper.
Yeah.
And he stayed 1 block away from La Jolla. So if you don't know San Diego, California, you don't know what I'm talking about with Pacific Beach and all that. Just Google it. You have a Google out there. But the influential neighborhoods, the higher the price goes up, the closer to the beach, the really nice neighborhoods, gas was 10 to 15 cents cheaper in some areas than it was in Southeast or in the neighborhoods that I was living in, what we call hood or what people like to classify as ghetto. That to me is outstanding in itself. You're talking about Kroger's, Whole Foods, all those healthy stores. You don't have a lot of them in there. I did a research and study one time, not even just with those stores and the prices. There's an app called Yuka. We eat healthy. We try to eat healthy. The app Yuka tells you everything that they put in your foods. It'll give it up from one score from 0 to 100. The higher the number, it goes into green. The lower the number, it goes into red. Um, I would say 90% of the foods I found in the lower economic communities were all mostly closely to red, while the food stores in the nicer neighborhoods and fluent neighborhoods were all closer to really green and really good. They weren't in the yellow really. They weren't definitely weren't in the orange or red, and that was a concern. And the reason why, to answer your question, they do that is by design because if you keep them dry and down and poor and fighting amongst each other, they don't have time to sit there and figure out that they're being bamboozled. They don't have the time and energy. I once heard this powerful man that I had respect for a little bit come talk to the lower class people and tell them they have the same 24 hours in the day. And he's a damn lie. We don't got the same 24 hours in the day because of the one factor, money, the economic factor of money. If you're rich, you're allowed time to go and do whatever you want during the day, and that money buys you that time. If you're poor, you're just waking up thinking about food, what we're talking about now. You're thinking about rent, what we're talking about now with the shelter, and you're thinking about healthcare. And guess what they've been attacking this whole time, all the time? Our food source supply, healthcare, and education. That sounds like a design to me.
I'm gonna, before I come to you, brother Derek, I'm going to read you these stats from brother Demetrius. Almost 54 million people live in low-income areas with low access to supermarkets. being over half a mile away from a supermarket in urban areas or 10 miles away in rural areas. Another 19 million face more limited access, living over a mile away from a store in urban areas or over 10 miles away in rural areas. Now, I know, a mile doesn't sound like that much, but suppose you're a person with on low income and you're a senior citizen. In most cases, you have to depend on someone to take you that mile and bring you back
Yeah.
without, acting like you're a burden. Leaving you with some sort of self respect. And I'm sure we've all seen it happen. Brother Derek?
Yeah, I think that food deserts are real things. I know that again, where I go to church in downtown Atlanta, it's a community that produced Gladys Knight, for example, and Maynard Jackson, the first black mayor of a major city in the South. I don't know how that happened, but that was probably better than what we had. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was, it's tough, and most of these people, they don't have cars, and so you're relying on public transportation, and it's nowhere near like public transportation in New York or DC or Boston or Philly, where you can catch a bus or transit everywhere. And so that's a way to keep people hostage. And then so a lot of these people that I know in the communities that again the inner city communities. Atlanta's a city. I love Atlanta, and there's a lot of great things about it, but it's the disparities in this city are probably more dire than almost any other major city, particularly as a black city. And so you have
I
all these.
wanted you to elaborate on that a little, brother, because you sent us an article talking about young people leaving Atlanta, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
believe that's the opposite of what most of us, at least most of us, as black people think. We think Atlanta is being a mecca. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah, and that's a good point. And it's like kind of you hear sometimes two things can be true at once. And
yes,
what I mean by that is this is a city where so many of our brightest, our boldest, our people, think about, because there are more films made here in Atlanta than anywhere else in the world. So those people in that entertainment industry, they're coming, and there's so many of them that are talented. Where somebody could go somewhere else, they could go to Pittsburgh, or they could go to Charlotte, or they could go somewhere out to Denver, and they could honestly stand out because they would be maybe one of 10 instead of one of 300, if you know what I'm saying. And so
right, right.
the competition is really, really fierce. And that's what part of it is. And if you aren't kind of on that, um, more towards the top of the pecking order, then, now it wasn't that long ago, Brother James, where people could come down here, and they did. They flooded down here from Chicago, and they came from even from California. They came from New York, where you could spend $250,000 and you could get this huge, magnificent 6-bedroom home with a pool, and so now Atlanta's housing market is catching up. It's still not like nowhere near like out in California, but you could get a palace for what you could get a 3 bedroom home a lot of other places. And so, and 2 acres of land. And so I'm just saying that that's what it is. And people are saying, well, wow, there's a ton of talented people here. And maybe I could go over here and I could be a star. And over here, I'm just kind of another person that's got talent. And so that's what I think a lot of that is because of where housing has gone. I'll give you an example. We bought our house as, 4 bedroom, I don't know, acre for $87,000 here, right in the suburbs of Atlanta. When I got down here, and so that's something that a lot of people, y'all got garages worth more than that.
It's facts.
uh,
So
yeah,
yeah, so that's what I think it is. It's just it
they
is
call them
really not.
granny flats. They call them granny flats out here.
Yeah, yeah. I was out there. I was out there in wow, right outside of LA for a conference, and I went to one of my first cousins they had a little gathering for us in their backyard. Now their house was like a third of the size of mine, maybe even a fourth, but they're charging people $1,000 for the party in their back in their house, and I sold their house is worth way over $1 million, and so that, that's foreign to me. So I think all of those things kind of factor in, and then plus, I mean, we have, of course, we have the world's busiest airport, but in terms of the infrastructure, you still have places here where it's hard to catch a train to or a bus to, because there's places where people in the outskirts, they don't want us out there. So there's still that fight going on there. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's real. In fact, I saw there was one other. There was surprising a couple of others. I think Detroit was another place where people were leaving, as I remember looking at that list. They were higher on the list than Atlanta, and I know Atlanta does have this reputation, and some of it is true and well reserved, but there's that other side of it. There's a whole ton of poor people, poor uneducated people here in
I'm
Atlanta
with you
too.
on a lot of that, my brother. I love Detroit. Shout out to Detroit, but y'all are worried. A lot of people leaving that cold ain't surprising though, brother.
You ain't lying about that, brother.
I was on the phone with somebody from the Midwest, and I told them it was business, and they said, "What took so long?" And I was like, "I'm outside throwing baseball with my son," and he was like, "It's a snowstorm. What do you mean?" And he was like, "Oh, you're in Cali," and I was like, "Yeah." And then I thought about it, like that's why we pay that tax too. A lot of people come here, my brother, and they be like telling me they're gonna buy this or buy that, and buy a house or something like that, and then they look up a price, and I'll be like, "Yeah, just
Yeah,
yeah." That's why
yeah.
you can say, "Yeah."
Yeah, if you own property here in San Diego, I'm not sure about where you are, Masada, but I know the same property that was bought here in 2006, between 2012 and 2018,
Uh huh.
you couldn't sell the property for what you bought it for. Now prices are going back up and things are getting, during that that real estate slump, it affected people out here in California too.
It affected
But the
people
one,
in the
but
back.
the one thing that it did not affect, and you have to excuse me, brother Derek, the one thing it didn't affect was our taxes.
That's right.
Taxes. it's,
Yeah,
They
y'all
went
are
up.
notorious for your taxes for sure.
Oh no, they went up. They went up.
yeah,
Um,
I mean, yeah. But I mean, but then again, like that's the price of living out here in California, the same as it is as having that $500 bill in Cleveland, Ohio, during the wintertime.
yeah.
So
Well,
I understand that, but there's also a difference, and when you're in an urban setting and you encounter a food desert, than it is when I'll say when you are in a more rural setting. And the reason why I say that, well, number one is because I'm used to living in urban areas, but when you have to go, when uh, you have to travel in order for you to, like you said, you get from that red level up to that green level. Otherwise, your body, your diet consists of everything that is bad for you, and in the
Yeah.
meantime, you wonder why your health is going down. It's
Yeah.
because you're not giving your body the proper nutrition. And 9 times out of 10, if you don't have access to food, you don't have access to a grocery store.
That's right.
So, and then if you don't have access to a grocery store, you don't have access to a pharmacy
Yeah.
because most of your pharmacies are in where? Your grocery store,
Yeah.
you know. So, I mean, that there has to be profit in SNAP when McDonald's starts accepting a SNAP card for your Happy Meal.
Oh,
I know you. I'm not trying to be funny, but when you go to Burger King and all these fast foods, and they now say we accept EBT, there's a reason why.
that's right. That's right.
Do you want to expound on what I'm saying, there, brother, brother Derek?
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, you give people enough to survive, but not enough to thrive. And there was so many, to me, heartbreaking stories where they didn't, and little old ladies too. I mean, 70, 80-year old. I remember one in particular, black lady. She said she got $26 a month. And she told you exactly what she bought with it: the can of this, a can of that, and she didn't have it. And the same for an elderly white woman. And they were saying, were brought to tears. And I'm saying, how can you do that to people? To give your billionaire buddies additional tax breaks, and say that you're representing the people. I mean, you're there for the people. You are there to. They say what a rising tide lifts all ships, but we're not lifting all ships. It's just really tough to
The
understand.
tide doesn't make any difference if you're already on the beach.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
If your boat is already washed up on the
Right.
beach, it don't make no difference how high the tide gets.
It reminds me when Pharaoh told them, make bricks without straw. I mean, you already don't have anything, and we're gonna take away what allows you to make what you do make. And so it's you're right. It's by design, because we know that Congress continued to get paid through the whole thing, and then we finally had one or two of them that said, "Well, listen, there should be some rule that where you know the country's on strike, we don't get paid either." I said, "Oh wow, okay." Of course, it didn't happen. But
I have a question though. Um, you said places like McDonald's and Burger King and all accept Snap. They do out here. I know. Um, I know Ruth Chris don't, right?
mm, mm,
can
right.
you go to Ruth Chris and use Snap EBT? That good healthy food. Can you go there?
Hey,
I'm just saying.
but
McDonald's and Burger King are good quick food source, but is it
Yeah,
healthy and nutritious? And so if that's not healthy and nutritious, which I mean it's sustained. I used to eat it a long time ago and all that. But my point is once again, it's like when we're talking about food stores, the food stores you name, I can't find them in our neighborhoods. You can find food for less than a dollar value, and those are good. Don't get me wrong, but there's a difference when you step once again into different food places, from restaurants to stores. And so when I do say design, brother Derek, and all, I really mean we got to think about. I play chess, and they always tell me, "Oh, you think like you play chess," and I'm like, imagine the government thinking like they playing chess, and it's even deeper than that. They're playing it with our lives. So. Um, One of the best ways to answer that, and to go back to that reference is, I'm trying to think of her name, y'all, but a while ago it was, oh man, Paris Hilton. She
Yeah,
did not know what a Walmart was.
that's right. That's right.
Can you
Wow.
can you imagine being that wealthy, not knowing what a Walmart? I've been to Walmart. I still go. I might go to Walmart tomorrow or the next week or something. Like Walmart is a place where you can afford things, and somebody not knowing what a Walmart is tell you they live a whole different life than you ever could expect or even know.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, there are places where I happen to be in a very fortunate neighborhood. I can go to Rouse if I want to go maybe a couple miles out of my way. I
You
can.
being modest, you live in a really nice neighborhood designed across from another neighborhood designed for the people who make it. And don't be modest. Be honest. Be honest with our people.
No, no, I mean, I can go. I can take my EBT card,
Uh huh.
and I can go. I'm fortunate enough to where I can go to a Trader Joe's. I can
Wow.
go. I can go up this way, and I can go up to a Sprouts. I can go in another different direction, and if I don't want to go to uh, Rouse, I can go to a Vons or an Albertsons. But in the same vein, I can also go to a Smart and Final, or I can go, uh, to Burger King or Wendy's, any of these. But the
You can
thing,
use your card? You
yes,
use your really?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yes.
you know, but now
Certain
there
areas and
are
neighborhoods, though. Let me get that clear.
now,
Certain areas and neighborhoods.
right. I mean,
Okay.
but also 3 blocks from me, ICE went into a restaurant and arrested all the cooks with the people standing out, sitting outside waiting to be served. So, you know, uh, hey, so I mean, even if you live in a so-called high-end neighborhood, you have to remember that there's low-end people that depend on these places for jobs.
Absolutely.
These cooks were only trying to feed their families, and believe me, they, out here, they did have a law where they passed a law where restaurant workers have to be paid at least $15 an hour. But $15 an hour in Tijuana is like 50 $75 an hour,
That's
in
right.
actual San Diego money, you know.
Sure. Sure.
So but now going out a little further now, I would not expect the same thing if I lived off of Euclid Avenue. And I wouldn't care what city I was in. I could be in Houston, I could be in Dallas, I could be anywhere. If I'm living off Euclid Avenue or
Or
close to
Martin
Martin
King.
Luther King Boulevard, and, what need I say more?
There you
There's two
go.
cities here. We understand what I'm saying. Yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
but you don't see the same stores off of the Dwight Eisenhower Freeway that you see off of you know Martin Luther King Freeway.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Yeah, like in my neighborhood, I mean, out where I have a son that lives out where there are Sprouts and there are some of these, Costco and some of these other Trader Joe's, but I got to drive like 20 minutes to get to, to anything like that. And the Kroger I have, and I like Kroger and everything, but more likely going to be the ones where you can get some bent cans and, you know, less of the higher end
yeah,
quality. And then you have a lot of, you have shopper, save shopper kind of stores, these big box stores that are not on the high end, and so yeah, it's
yeah,
just
big lots and all that.
Yeah, it's a disclaimer out here too, though, brother James. I'm from Mississippi. I'm from the country. I've been through Georgia. I love all the South and all that. The infrastructure, though. So, also speaking on that, like it takes your drive. I myself, brother James is probably like 5, 8 minutes from the beach. Me myself, I'm probably about 10, 15 minutes from it. 15 minutes from everything. The infrastructure here in San Diego with the freeways as well. I'm about 15 minutes from the border of Mexico as well.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a good infrastructure out here. I will give them that. Although our infrastructure is poor with the rain draining system, because that song truly doesn't rain in Southern California. But as far as as commuting, it's really good.
So where you guys are, what would you say the African American population is? What, 8, 10%? Is it that high?
Three to five,
Not, maybe not.
3 to 5.
Probably higher in
That's why
Masada.
y'all got it so good.
Yeah, yeah.
I stay closer to the black population. It's kind of unfortunate when you in talking any city, you can find different demographics. Although
Yeah.
while San Diego is very diverse, if I mention Miramar, most people would probably say Asian and military. If I say La
Yeah.
Jolla, most people say white and European. If I say Chula Vista, National City, they'll say Mexicans. And if I say Southeast San Diego, Southeast is known and they're proud because it's hood and black. Um,
Mm.
it's a lot of great things. A lot of great people come from it. Me coming from Mississippi though, and seeing a San Diego area, no matter what area I look at, we all have different areas we just call hood, and they're hood for different reasons.
Yeah.
Coming from where I come from, even staying out here in the part of the Southeast San Diego, I love and respect all y'all, man. It's pretty nice, but it is lower than what their expectation is, because their standard is not to Mississippi standard. Their
Right.
standard is out here to San Diego, to where
Right.
you have downtown, you have La Jolla, you have PB. Here's an example: IB, Imperial Beach. We name our beaches really slow. IB, PB, Pacific Beach, Mission Beach is. Um, IB is the beach that borders Mexico. I Beach has a drainage system and a problem right now where shit, literal shit, is dumped into
Mm.
the ocean side.
Mm.
That has been worked on for 4 or 5 years, or it's been getting bad and worked on. I've been to
That's the Tijuana River.
the Tijuana River. Yes, I've been to all kind of conferences, engagements, speaking on that. Speak not me personally, but helping speaking on it. There, I had the senator come down. They were trying to talk to the governor, and they made a good point. If that was Venice Beach, it would have been fixed. But since
Yep.
it's Imperial Beach next to Tijuana, it's not, and it's a beautiful beach. But now
Mm.
La Jolla, 3 beaches over, just to put it in context for everybody. If this is Mexico, this is Tijuana River, and this is IB. Then you go Ocean Beach, it's Ocean Beach. And then you have Mission Beach, that's the tourist attraction beach. And then you have PB, that's the white, young party beach. And then you
The
have
further north you go, right? The further
yeah,
north
other
you
north.
go, the
Right,
better it gets.
You go
right.
La Jolla, and that's the oh my God, try to look up a hotel out there and then talk to me later about it. But the water gets clearer the higher you go, and it gets really pretty. And
Yeah.
IB is a really pretty infrastructural place. It's the southwestern point that you can go in the whole United States. It's the most southwestern point you can go, and yet nothing's been done about it because it's next to Tijuana, next to Mexico, and that's by design as well.
See, now,
Mm.
to give you an even better example, when the little one comes down here from LA, we go to the tide pools in La Jolla.
Yeah.
We have never taken. He's never. You don't even know where Imperial Beach is. you know,
But you know,
and,
it's a beautiful thing though, James, because to get exposure to the good life, the better life, to know that what's out there, what's available. Because I bet there are people who never left South Central LA who wouldn't have a clue about some of that.
I,
Brother,
I have relatives in Ohio that unless they flew in, that's the only time that they left
it gets worse than that. It gets
the
worse than that. I can say I got family and friends from Mississippi that won't come. I have friends from San Diego, California, that have never been to La Jolla. And when I told them
Really.
I go there, they said, "Ew, you're white, or we're acting white." And I said, "Y'all don't know what y'all missing out. That is one of my favorite places in the world, and I've been around."
Was
But
that 20, 30 miles away or something?
Oh
yeah,
no, for
no,
me,
no, no.
yeah, not
Not
like
even that.
14, like 12. Yeah. Now we, brother
Wow.
Derek, everything is in close vicinity around San Diego.
Mm,
And you
Yeah.
get
wow.
free bus passes as well. If you're in school, I don't know how long they've been doing that, but you get free public transportation. We have a trolley system. San Diego is really good for that. What I'm blaming now is this is where my duality comes in, and this is where I lose
Yeah.
people, and
Yeah.
this is where I don't want to lose my people, but I need everybody to hear me. I stay in a very influential city. It's the most expensive city in the United States as of this moment. I have friends that look like me, some that don't, but come from lower economic housing and statuses. And they've told me before when I've told them I experienced Pacific Beach or La Jolla or Del Mar or Ensenadas, however you want to all pronounce it, those are all the nice areas. If y'all don't know Del Mar, look it up. That's where they have the horse races, the Triple Crown, and everything else. The movie Pretty Woman, if you're old enough to remember that movie, young enough, whatever, um, that's where they did some scenes at and all. Those influential places are very nice, and people that look like me tell me that they don't want to go there, that they're not beach people, or that that's not for them. While me and my family and my kids, I love going over there because I love seeing nice shit. So sometimes I'm gonna blame who the blame needs to be on, and the blame also needs to be on us as well because I have a friend out back home. I love him to death. He won't fly, and I'm like, dude, take a train, get however the fuck you can get out here, come out here and see this shit, and they just won't. And so we understand some of those type of people, and I love them to death. But imagine being not from San Diego, being from like you said, you're in Atlanta. We know the swamps, we know the South, we know the country. Imagine being me coming out here and seeing nice ass shit
Yep.
and then
Yep.
being told by these people out here that I'm a sellout or I'm white bread or I'm trying to be whitewashed because I want to enjoy nice ass shit when I'm trying to explain to them, my brother, people that look like me and you don't even got what you have here that is considered hood, that to me would be considered very nice and suburban. So we got to get about our mindset too. Ice Cube has a song called The Hood Mentality. Um, and so
Yeah.
I just had to break that in real quick, man, because San
No.
Diego, if
No.
you come here, I'm not overhyping it. They call it America's finest city. I've traveled to 44 states and a couple of countries, and I promise you, if you come down here, you'll see some stuff. You'll be like, wow, you have this here. And then if I bring you to the, just you just have to see around. So we need to get out that mentality and try to go to these other places, but at the same time, we need to gentrify our own neighborhoods and clean them up. And that's why I be on these podcasts, and that's why I do talk my random shit that people think is random, but it's we need to grow. We know better. You do better. You said it
That's
yourself.
right.
Once you see something better,
Yeah.
you want that. You can't go back. And
That's
so
right. That's right.
Atlanta being growing, we always hear out here Atlanta is the mecca. I want to go Atlanta because I'm like, yo, there's black people out here, but when they speak on San Diego being diverse, they get mad at me. But truth is, if I do mention the neighborhoods, they will. You can see the separations. I teach kindergarten through fifth graders in public and private schools chess. Some of these influential private schools that I go to, and some of these places I drive down to, you come out here and you see Tesla after Lamborghini after Porsche after any car you can name that people think are big time like from back home. Then I'd be like, yo, I see that regular every day. That's just like a, and it's sad for me to say that because I'm like, I became San Diego and I became Californian in a little bit, and that means like Hollywood a little bit because you don't see that back at home. I don't think y'all have Rolls Royces and Teslas driving down the street, not even in Atlanta all the time like that. And I'm pretty sure Atlanta does in downtown Atlanta. But I mean, everywhere out here is like that, and it's just a
Yeah.
big difference. I had a little kid one time, and I'll end it and give it you all some more time. But I had a little kid preference me about his second or third trip that year he was going to Maui, and I was like, yeah, I went. He was like, yeah, we go every year, and we were waiting for his ride, and he was like, we're waiting on the new Tesla, and this is like when Tesla had just came out, and I was like, the new Tesla. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, he had like a blue or some color one. And he was like, no, it's the white one, it's the new one. And I was like, they just came out. He was like, yeah, we got two of them. And I was like,
Mm,
you go to
mm,
Maui every year, and you got two Teslas. They just came out, and you got two,
mm,
and you
mm.
got these resources that this other public school that I go to couldn't even dream and vision of. I wanted to do. I just it just blew my mind because you have to realize things like I said with a Paris Hilton. There are some people in this world, and it's kind of not their fault, but kind of is when you don't want to do research that don't know the struggles. And then you have some people of us, like I said, I'm gonna end it. I know I kept going, but some of us come from Cosby type families and they
Yeah,
look like me and you, but they
yeah,
don't know the struggle, brother Derek or brother James. And so it limits us on what we all can do, because then sometimes you get the mentality of I'm too hood, I'm so hood that I don't want to go see something nice. Where I'm
yeah,
like, I want to go see it and experience it.
yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. Brother James, can I weigh in on that?
Sure, you can.
Yeah, so it's funny. My oldest son always talks about the fact when he was in school, when he was in, I think he was in just in junior high, and he'd get teased by some of the kids who would tell him, "You live, you one of those, you like the Cosbys." Now, it didn't like, I'm not a doctor, my wife's not a lawyer, we don't even do that, but we had a regular nuclear family, and sat down and would have dinner with the kids, and just what I'm saying, it was a stable household, two family household. And so I'm wondering, in some instances, some of those kids that you're talking about, and not just kids, some of the people, I wonder how many of them, number one, don't feel worthy of going to these really nice places and number two, I wonder if some of them don't feel welcome. Now, in some places in the South, particularly, I don't mean in Metro Atlanta because you don't run into that. I mean, every once in a while you might, but basically, when you get out into to the rural areas, to the country, you're gonna run into that. And so, when people don't feel welcome, I understand they won't go places, but it is a problem. It's a problem we have to deal with if we don't feel worthy. That's a self-image thing that we need to figure out how to work with our kids and work with our not even just our kids, but figure a way to expose them to where they understand, yeah, I
Yes.
can have some I deserve better. I deserve more. I can enjoy this. And so I wish we had LaSalle here because I bet he can speak to this, right?
Yes.
Right
Yes.
up his alley.
Yeah, but see, and perhaps me and Brother Masada come from the same cloth in this respect. I want to be exposed to the nicer things of life. Maybe even some of the things that I know that I cannot attain,
Hell
but
yeah.
I do want to have aspirations.
That's
And
right.
I want to be able to pass those aspirations on to my grandchildren and hopefully to their grandchildren to let you know that you can, and I know, this, even when I lived on the other side of the law, the reason why it was so that I could obtain these things that I thought that I couldn't obtain any other way.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
I had aspirations then. I didn't want to stay on Martin Luther King when I was a crook. And I mean, I'm just being serious.
Change the
You
views,
know,
James. We need to see you tell this story, please. I'm sorry that y'all, I messed this up, but yeah, let's see you, brother.
no, I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
seriously,
absolutely, absolutely.
when I started out in you know my life of crime wasn't so I could stay in the projects.
That's right.
My life of crime wasn't so I could drive a damn Ford. Shit, I wanted to Cadillac, a tornado. You know, I wanted to be able to go down to the tailor and get me a suit, not a
That's
suit
right.
off the rack.
That's right.
You know, and maybe I was just maybe I was cut from a different cloth, but you know, I was always taught to think upward. Regardless of whether I ended up later on, but right now I'm thinking upward. I want to be able to, and back in the day, brother Gar, we used to dress. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
hey, I wanted that collar I could pop. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be able to go down to the after hour joint, at the end of the night, and the doorman know who I am.
Yeah.
So maybe it's because I've lived this long, and I'm able to look back because I believe me, I got a lot of parts that aren't here now, you know. But we all when we got out of high school, that was our thing to get out of the hood. It wasn't to
That's
stay
right.
in the hood,
That's right.
you know.
Yeah. Let me address that though. After y'all, for my generation, the late '80s, early '90s, I was taught we wanted to give back and go back to the hood. So like with our segment for food and starvation and grocery wars and corporate retreat, right? Solutions and accountability for me. The community needs ownership of food sources, not dependency. We need to rebuild. We need to gentrify, as I spoke earlier, our own communities. Because right now people keep saying we're all in the same kitchen, but we're not in the same kitchen. We're not even in the same building, y'all. Some of us
Mm.
grew up in the dining room. Some of us grew up in washing dishes in the back. Some of us were
Hmm.
never invited inside at all. We were told
That's
to
right.
eat outside, figure it out, and call it equal opportunity. So when we talk about two Americas, we talk about two different floor plans, two different rule books, and two different sets of expectations, all pretending to be the same house. That goes even deeper because as we're talking about San Diego compared to Atlanta, compared to Mississippi, where I come from, Hattiesburg, compared to Detroit, it goes once again. We're not in the same kitchen, not even in the same building, and yet we're judged by the same recipe, the same ingredients, and the same shelf. And that's the lie. America feeds us and feeds us, pretty much giving us saying that why can't we cook the same meals? But then they would give us the leftovers and scraps, and we ain't
Yep.
complain, and we
Yep.
made meals out of them, and we fed our families. We still survived, and we're still holding on to some of that, which is all bad. But once you know better, you should do better,
That's right.
But
That's
yet
right.
we're still holding on to that. And two Americas means two kitchens with one stove and the other with a fire you got to build. So I feel like building our own scraps, making the chitlins. I used to eat chitlins when I grew up. I don't even eat no more. But I used to eat chitlins. I did. I look. I come from the
Yeah.
south. I came from poor.
That's
So
right.
you telling me to make the same meal that this little kid out here that's having two Teslas and going to Maui every damn seems like every weekend or something. I never even went to a amusement park when I was young. You all, I didn't know Six Flags and all the other stuff. So we don't live in the same thing, and that brings me back to what we were talking about again, James. The paycheck trap, the financial starvation with different foods, different prices for gas stations, and all that. When a system punishes effort, that's not dysfunction. Once again, that's design. I keep saying it.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
structure built to keep people in place, and will always treat ambition as a threat. The real truth is, if the harder you grind, the harder the system hits you. That ain't neglect. That means the
Mm.
system is doing exactly what it's built to do, keep certain folks from rising. You ever notice if you actually try to make your way out of it and do it by the system and get a job, if you work overtime, if you work too much overtime, they hit you with way more taxes. Yeah, anybody know that? The-
Yep. That's
Of
right.
yeah,
course.
and you make less money than you did if you would have worked regular. That's dope. That's by design. Injustice that doesn't happen by accident. When effort is penalized, when progress is punished, we're witnessing intentional architecture, a system operating precisely according to its original blueprint. The forefathers. I hate when they say our forefathers and every man was created equal. Well, if every man was created equal, what were they talking about? What man? Because honestly, if I turn into like their theory and be racist, genetically speaking, scientifically proven, we ain't created equally. We created, I mean, phenomenally better. And that's just kind of facts. And that fucking sucks because we're created more kind-hearted and structural to be more accepting, which allowed us to be manipulated more, telling our people to work harder, push further, rise above. But the truth is, when effort becomes a target, you're not fighting failure. You're fighting a system that's succeeding at holding us back. And, and that it, it's hard to frame, man. It when I study and I pause and I talk like I do, it's because I'm trying not to offend too many people, which I really don't give a fuck at times, but I do because I won't. But brother Derek, I do. I want people to hear
Yeah,
me.
I believe you. I believe you.
So when y'all say talking to Kamar Masada, I talked earlier about to my people earlier about it's not the older me, it's the more wiser me of I have people now with our coalition that everything we're talking about, people that are watching this coalition is talking about these problems to get solutions from everybody, not just from us. We don't have all the answers. We're telling you the problems, we're telling you from our point of views, firsthand point of view, and we're telling you the things that we would like to do to solve them. But we need an entire community of all of us and us starting with us as lower economic black people, lower economic people in general. I wanted to bring that up too because here's a stat. Owsley, I probably said it wrong, but Owsley County, Kentucky, has the highest rate of food stamps use in the nation. It is 99.22% white and
Yeah,
95% Republican.
yeah.
I
That's
have to
right.
laugh at certain stuff, you all, because that's comical. Because our fight and our struggle is universal. But while you have those people that are saying that it's all us, it's their own people as well. And so all these facts and numbers need to get straightened up better. And we need to take a look at us. But the government needs to take a look at them, and we need to break down the system. And that's why I say we need to break down the system, Brother James and Brother Derek, because of what I just mentioned. Everything that I mentioned from us being held back from years of not just slavery but systematic slavery, which I don't think systematic oppression is talked about and highlighted in the areas that as it needs to be. And what areas are those? This is not being broad or general when I say this. Everything America, everything America, literally everything. We need to go back and redefine it and write our own narratives and redo everything.
But see,
Well said.
here's the thing about that. You know, is that it in this particular day and time, maybe that would work when we were kind of isolated in different pockets. Um, to give you an example, going back to my past, if I did something on the eastern side of the Mississippi, I know that there would not be any word on the western side of the Mississippi for at least 2 or 3 days. Now, I mean, all I had to do was I mean, there was a list to come, and with the numbers on it, so, so forth and so on. And if I took that list, there was no way for anybody to communicate that list. Now everything is transfer. You can transpond it instantly. As a matter of fact, before while it's still in the truck, they're tracking it in. So, in order for us to restart America altogether, there would have to be a united front.
There
And
will be.
this is what we're striving for. This is what we're hoping to achieve.
No longer hoping this is what we're doing and putting into action to do because as you stated, it can happen like this. You used to do something on the east of the Mississippi, west of Mississippi, didn't know. Now, if we all come together, if we all want to say it, as you mentioned, it can happen in the blink of an eye. Tomorrow, what do they call it now? Cancel culture, right? You know how many
Yeah,
people woke up the next morning without jobs because they got canceled?
that's right.
Give us some light on this, brother Derek, because you're probably the most right now. You're that voice, that's kind of crying out in the wilderness. The rest of us are ready to burn the place down.
Well, I don't think I'm gonna bring the can of gasoline or the torch, but yeah, I mean it's we're in a rough place. When you did just to point out when you talked about the cancel culture, I mean that was flipped on its head when people, and again, I don't rejoice uh, Charlie Kirk's uh, murder, killing on a because he spoke out. I vehemently disagree with what he had to say and his philosophy and his mindset, but a whole bunch of people got fired for that. They did for whatever they had to say, whatever they if they cheered, if they wrote something, if they said that he whatever they had to say, and that you know that is the epitome of council culture to me. I want to go back to something that the Masada had to say. The one thing that most of the, particularly the rural black folk in the South, and ultimately that's most of us have our roots. I can't remember James. Well, James, I guess you from Pittsburgh, but somewhere before then, your people came in
Well,
from Charleston or down in New Orleans.
Meridian, Mississippi.
There you go.
Meridian,
There you
Mississippi.
go. There you
okay.
go. We all have
Hold on.
those
Why you
roots.
been keeping that? Hold on. Why you be keeping that? Meridian? All right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Every
Meridian,
time I
Mississippi at Gaston, Alabama.
There you go. Well, Gadsden, right, by the way, is right next to where the Freedom Riders bus was firebombed in
Yeah,
Anniston.
yeah.
In Anniston,
Uh,
and
Uncle
in
is.
Anniston, the Klansmen that pulled Nat King Cole off the stage in Birmingham and beat him were from Anniston. So that is a hotbed. So all of us have our roots down there. And one of the things that all of the people who knew and worked closely with Dr. King said is that the thing that the poor rural black folk had to always said was that the thing that he gave them most was the belief. He helped them believe that they were worthy, that they deserved more, that they were just as good as anybody else. And you can imagine after being told, living in Jim Crow society and being slaves and being marginalized for generations, that was a mindset change. But you're right, Masada, we got to be past that, and we got to help our people get past that. Maybe even if you can figure out how to grab somebody and take them and show them that beach. Maybe they're afraid to go, and then that breaks them out of that cocoon, so to speak, because we got to figure out how to do that. We got to also stop putting each other down because
Yes.
we are seeking to achieve and have more and be more. And I'm not talking about by hijacking somebody or breaking in to it and taking it, because ultimately we know that's not the answer. So yeah, but I can't wait to get down. I actually went to in pronounce
Ensenada.
Ensenada. Yeah,
Yeah.
we flew out of we. I mean, we took the cruise out of L.A. this summer. We're down there for my son's 45th birthday, and so it was great. But yeah, so many people to think that there are people right there in San Diego who have never experienced any of that. It just blows my mind.
Yeah. Well, you tell a
Oh,
good
hey.
mentality. Um, and it's not. It's I don't blame anybody. I'm like you. It's not putting blame on us. It's saying that okay, this has happened. This is what it is. Now let's fix it. Let's change it
That's
because
it.
when you do try to do better and show them educational wise or something that's not known to be hood, then you are considered something different or you're trying to be
Yeah,
somebody else. And I feel like I'm just trying to be the best version I can be on this planet.
there you
So
go.
I want to
There
do
you
the
go.
best things, you know. I want to taste the
Yeah,
best food, drink the best water. Um, it just random things, man. I don't even want to say too much about different things, but I grew up not even having a shower until I came out to being in the Marine Corps. Like that's where I'm from. That's the Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I'm from.
yeah.
I had friends or people I know. They probably had nice houses and all that, but I come from 816 Mobile Street. Look me up next to the Gula. It sounds funny, but it sounds funny for a reason. I'm from where places where police wouldn't come, and that's not over exaggerating. That's not hyping it up. Look up the Gula, Palmer's Crossing, Dab Street, Mobile Street. Mobile Street, matter of fact, where I stay is about 5, 6 blocks from downtown Hattiesburg. Which the more I found out about where I come from, it was one of the leading forces in the civil rights movement as well. Um, And I have to thank my mom, and I have to thank some of the people like Dr. Eddie Holloway. He was a dean at the University of Southern Mississippi. They kind of guided me along the way. And so I always wonder why I got guided, and then I thought about not why just I got guided. How did I as a kid know to cling on to that and to listen and to not settle and to feel that I was more? Because I believe, as you do, Derek, that we should make each other feel that we're worthy because we are. But
Yeah.
at what point aren't we taught that? What
Yeah.
point, what in what household aren't we taught that? Because you said resilience. I know from my grandmother, from my mother, we were taught resilience and taught that we the ish. We ain't got to keep up with the Joneses.
That's
We
right.
ain't got much,
That's right.
but we resilient. We the ish. It's in our blood. I have
That's
a
right.
song that I'm gonna share with everybody. I love to share things. It's not even my song. When I speak on music and speak on things and love, it's stuff I love. There's a woman called Esperanza Spalding. She has a song called
Oh
Black Gold.
yeah. Oh yeah. She's
Black
bad.
Gold. I listen to that when I'm feeling in any kind of mood. That's my song.
Mm.
I,
What's the name of it? What's the name of it, Masada?
Black Gold.
Black Gold. Okay.
Black gold. You
Yeah.
just black gold. It goes, hold your head as high as you can so you can see who you are, little man. Maybe
Mm.
in life nobody ever told you so. But something I'm gonna misquote it right now, it's not verbatim, but basically you come from the blood that you carry inside you, your ancestors' blood, powerful men, kingdom builders of civilizations and kingdoms, and just it's just a great, powerful song. And I
Yes.
wish we would play more than that than playing. And I don't even want to name none of these fucking hip hop people or rap people because people get super clear. But I wish we would play more of that than what we play today. Because even in my time, I don't care
Yeah.
what you say about rap music and all that. My mom and them used to play "Keep Your Head Up," and I don't
Mm-hmm.
care how y'all feel about Tupac and all that, but a song like "Keep Your Head Up" to a young
Yep.
black kid
Yep. Yep.
say no more to me. It made me feel like I was the ish. I got you, you know. So Black Gold by Esperanza Spalding, and then let's put the onus on us at times, and that's what we're doing. We're building a community for us to get us out of what we've been taught and what we had to keep on to and hold on to.
Yep.
We don't have to
Yep.
hold on to those old narratives no more. Let's get better.
Right.
Let's do better. And I'm here. I'm to anybody in San Diego, to anybody in the world. We're not knocking no brothers. We're not knocking anybody. We just saying if we know better now, let's show our kids better. We always talk about the kids. Let's do it for the kids. But if we're gonna do it for the kids, we have to do it for ourselves because right now we're leading those kids, and it's the old. I don't know if y'all know this, and then I'll stop. The old rhetoric for us was, I think Brother James said something about it. He wanted to go to the clubs and look good and all that. The drug dealers, they looked good. They had the money, so the kids didn't look at the nerd Bill Cosby or whoever else as the hard working one. That's the way we wanted to go. They looked at the drug dealers and all that, right? So
Hey,
let's
that's my man there. What's going on?
say what up.
Hi everybody. Hi.
Hello. Hello.
Let's make them look up to something more now, and let's turn that the drug dealing game into what they looked up to as the superstars. Let's turn that into professional black leaders. Let's turn that into professional people who are raising their kids, who are doing something positive, and not just favoritism and nepotism in your own brother, that your fraternity, frat brother, and all this. The whole world that looks like us, like Killmonger said in Black Panther, is your family. Let's
Yep.
start celebrating individuals like this, not ones that's throwing cash, shaking ass, and talking that dumb shit. Let's talk
Yep.
about nurturing these young minds and let's teaching them the different things, you know?
Speak,
And
brother. Speak.
the best example of that is there's a Martin Luther King rec center here that we're bringing our boys to for the first time. Uh, they talked about the little kid person teaching them chess. I teach chess in public and private schools to kindergarten and fifth graders. When they said they wanted to teach my kids chess and it's Martin Luther King and it's black people, I said, go ahead. I didn't go in there thinking I was better than an instructor. I didn't go in there trying to tell them what to do. I went in there happy that another young black man was going to be able to be
Yep.
interactive with my kid in a positive way.
That's right.
And that's what we need more of, celebrating each other and lifting each other up. And Brother Derek, I'll take anybody to the beach. I tell them, let's go. The problem
There you
is when
go.
you do that, and I have to say this, and people don't like it, but yeah, people need to listen. We have. I used to always hear act accordingly, and then my mom was always telling me, "Man, be you." And then I
Yeah.
realized both things were right. I don't want to take nobody to La Jolla and you yelling in words to me all the time and saying N word.
Right.
I don't, because I don't want to be called
Right.
into my
That's
house.
right.
I don't
That's
want to
right.
be called that when these rich snobs looking at us like we are anyway, and you're giving them permission to do that because now you done came with your pants down way below. My mom would have knocked my ass out if I ever had my pants down below my
Yep.
ass. But
Yep.
nowadays that's the style and the trend, and people are gonna be like, "Who are you to talk shit about?" But nowadays that's the style and the trend, and yet it's just deplorable to me because I don't want to be seen with somebody like that in public because then that gives me a bad image and gives that white person or that other person, whatever we want to say, the right to be like, look, I told you.
That's
See, I
right.
told you.
That's
And
right.
it's like, why? I know that we got black kings and queens and respect and love. And I know our parents and people yell at us for that. And I know some of his fashion is supposed to be cool and all that. But the reality of it is, if you only give one people a perspective, and keep perpetrating that narrative that they saw in movies, they
Yep.
saw in films that depict us, that they hear
That's
in this
right.
music that depict us as that, the fuck you expect them to see and believe when we go out to somewhere nice? Like we got to think about different stuff, and then people like I can act like I want to act. Yeah, but don't come. Listen, when I tell you I teach public and private schools, you ever go to your kid's school, and I'm just saying this to whoever's out there listening. I go to my kid's school sometimes, and I'll see a black mom or even like a Latina mom or sometimes like the Asian mom. And you know they like they just came from a club or they're going to a strip club, and I'll be like, "Yo, did you know you got you're taking your first grader, your second grader, your kindergarten kid, and you picking them and dropping them up, and look how you dress." And I can't say that because everybody's dressed how they want to dress, and they're gonna hit me with that and all that. But I'm just saying perspective on where you're going and what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because if we're going to a club, or if you tell one of these people that's dressed like some type of way or something that they're going to some, I got you. If you tell them they're going to the red carpet hip hop awards, they're gonna go buy a fucking $1,000 suit or go rent something they can't
Yeah.
afford.
Yeah.
So you know better. You're telling me you know better.
That's right.
So come on, baby, let's go,
Yeah.
brothers and sisters
Yeah.
and everybody, man. This shit ain't hard. We know better. Let's do better. That's everything I always try to say. And I ain't the perfect one. Don't I've dressed. I've listen. I've done a lot of stuff. I dress hood. I smoke. I used to wild out, go to clubs. I've never had my pants below my ass because my mom and them. I just was raised better than that. And that's
Yeah.
nothing knocking you who did it, but it's learning. It's learning how to be better and how to be human. You know, I
Yeah.
came from the hood. I'm still hood. I got a lot of hood tendencies, like a lot of hood tendencies.
I,
So
I,
why do I got to show them?
I wear good draws. I ain't I ain't talking about like Hanes and you know
You want them to be known.
you know what I'm saying. But I don't need nobody to see the label.
Yeah.
Eh,
I,
you know, I'm gonna whoop that ass. You know
you know,
why?
I
You
know,
ain't fooling yourself.
my taste and whatnot,
Yep.
but I don't need nobody to see what color draw, whether my drawers is matching my socks or you know, I'm just not from that generation. When I get dressed, I want to look dapper. I want, maybe a pair of gaiters or something. You know, I'm just now getting to the suits and tennis shoe thing. That I'm still wrestling, kind of wrestling with that. I don't care if your sneakers cost 10,000; they still goddamn sneakers. But anyway, that
Forgive me if y'all hear me. I'm parenting for a second too, y'all.
Hey, you do you, bro.
I'm dad 24/7. I hear you, brother James, with the shoes. I told my nephew that he does a head coaching thing or assistant coaching thing for strength and conditioning. He said, "Unc, I went and bought $10 shoes at Ross right now just to be comfortable." And I told him out here, I went down towards Mexico and got me 2 pair of shoes for $80. And I floss on them, brother Jerry and James, like this. The shoes originally, one shoes were 170, the other was like 130. I'm not paying that for no shoes. I paid 90 for both of them because I got big feet and I like they fit comfortable on there and they're a little name brand, but it ain't because of the name. It's because I can buy two for one price for a low ass price, and they cost about. I got them for like a 300% discount. Feels like um, that's just marketing and branding, and that's the system designed to do what it is again. Once again, we got record labels, we got movie execs, and everybody who don't look like us, but they write our narrative and our story and what should be hot, and then they know that our culture influences it all. And once we influences it, we sell out at the top, and not even sell out. We
Yeah.
get misguided and directed by thinking the money, the status, and the name of the shirt or the shoes you wear. When honestly, there is a difference in quality when you do get higher up. I won't lie to anybody about that. But at the same time, cotton is cotton, polyester, polyester, a shirt is a shirt. And if it fits you and keeps you warm, what it's supposed to do, and keep you covered, because we haven't grown past that part with sexuality yet in this life as people, just wear it. Don't you can make whatever hot. Just wear it. Stop trying to chase after everything else. Um, I get tired of people with that because people will. I saw a kid. He had True Religion pants and jeans on. If y'all don't know, True Religion started I think like $300 or more for a pair of pants. Shamefully, I have a pair, but I ain't pay that much either. When I tell you I got something, I don't pay that price for it. I'm very frugal, very frugal. But he had it, and I was so confused because I could tell this kid they didn't even have a car. They were talking about trying to get somewhere, and they didn't have a car. They lived with their mom. He had his girlfriend out on a date, and I thought to myself, "You look good, but how many of us trying to look good instead of be good? How many of us like to sound good instead of feel good?"
Yeah, yeah. Brother Derek, I'm gonna have to let you in here and you take us home before Masada have us here another hour and a
Yeah,
half.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's not much I can add to that. That you said a lot, and I would go back to what you pointed out in terms of parenting. We really need to make sure that our young people understand what's expected of them, and we do our best to model it. And one of the things you were talking about, taking the people to the beach, one of the things, unfortunately, you can't push a wet noodle. You can't take everybody, but I think there are some people we can talk to in advance and say, look, we're going into this kind of area. You've never been here before. There was a time I'd never been here before. Let's represent who we are. Let's represent kings and queens and strong, good black people when we go in there. Let's not toss the N word. We kind of have to help prepare people sometimes. And there's people who can receive that. And if they can't receive that, we need to leave them home. But there are some. And because if we let people know what else is out there, then, and just your story, Masada, as you talked about how you grew up and there wasn't a shower in the house. And I'll share this now. My dad, because of being in the military, and we know the GI Bill was not available to a whole lot of black folk. Okay, but he was one of the ones that did benefit. And I know he bought a house in maybe 52 or 53 in Atlanta. It's a little 2-bedroom home, but I think it cost $18,000. Running water, showers, brick home. But at the same time, my mother was trying to get her degree from Morris Brown, and I stayed with her people in the country down in Stockbridge, where Dr. King's father came from. And we went to the bathroom. We had an outhouse. There's a 2-stall outhouse, and we took a bath in the big. What kind of cauldron? What kind of tub did they call it? You know what I'm talking about, James? It's the
Yeah, I know
big
something.
silver.
Yeah,
And they heated the water. And like I
yeah,
was the youngest, and I was the eighth one in the bathtub, and the water was so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we come a long, mighty long way. So I would say this to people: there there is goodness in this country, and where we can come out of poverty, come out of really, really, kind of rancid conditions, and what you get exposed to now, and what I've gotten exposed to, and been able to walk with presidents and you know Rosa Parks and all this, so there's a redeeming aspect to America, even though it's still a racist country in a whole lot of ways. It's an unjust country. As you mentioned, the poor white people in Kentucky, and there's a whole bunch of them all throughout the country, the Native Americans who are getting screwed. So we have an obligation to keep pushing and fighting against that. But we want to do it the right way. And we want to keep encouraging our people that they can do better and have better and be better.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you, brothers.
Uh, well, I want you to know that I really appreciate both of you. And I am actually glad that we're able to have these discussions every Tuesday. Even though we get to some topics and we veer off subject and whatnot, but I think I do think that the points that we make are very valid, and the things that maybe we should hear in our everyday life. Some people don't get a chance to hear, and most of all, they don't get a chance to listen. So I appreciate everyone that comes to our show. We have finally got over 1,000 subscribers, but
Awesome.
this we are also thinking about making this show a part of the coalition. So there might be some changes as far as that's concerned, because I think it's important for us to have a media arm as far as our organization is concerned. But now that we are trying to be a 501(c), there are some strict things that we have to adhere to. So you can look forward to some more reorganization. Of course, uh, brother, excuse me, brother Masada is our president. Brother Derek is our vice president. I'm just a lowly secretary, y'all. Don't wait, but
No
I,
lonely position.
You the
I want
you
you.
the you the straw that steers the drink, brother. Come on now.
uh, but it's all love, everybody, and I'm really hoping that this is something that we can actually make a success, and all of us be able to enjoy uh, as a people and as an organization. So, thank you, Brother Masada and Brother Derek, and hopefully we'll see everyone again next week. Uh, I want to tell Brother Lasal, make sure you stay safe out there. I know he's, trying to make a living for his family and whatnot. And Brother Demetrius, we'll see you as soon as we can.
And next week is a different special one because December 11th, I will be doing a conference that we're gonna be getting live feed to everybody.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's from the Head Start conference.
Yes, the National Head Start Conference that will be held in Orlando, Florida, December 8th through 11th. I will be leading a presentation on father engagement, the evidence, and the signs of father engagement. And I will be introducing myself as the president of the coalition and speaking on what we're about and raising awareness for all the what we need to say that we're here. We are here now. We're here to fight and help. I'm with the Head Starts. I'm here to fight for our communities with Head Starts. It's very diverse, and that's why it works. So, December 11th, that's when I will be speaking. But the conference goes from the 8th to the 11th.
Awesome.
All right,
I know you're
awesome.
gonna knock it out the park, my brother. Do you.
And
Just
that's
be
all I
real like
can.
you are.
I'm going in there with y'all, my ancestors, and everybody else, and going in there with truth and authenticity. And that's what matters, and that's what people feel. And I'm not going there. I say I'm going for a presentation, everyone, but I'm going down there to have a home talk with my people. That's what I
There
do.
you go. There you go.
Well, we should be back on. I think we have one more show before that. No, our next show. Well, the 11th. For sure, we'll have that presentation. And Brother Derek, we can't wait to get you and Demetrius out here for our first cabinet meeting, so to speak.
Uh, love it.
I would like for us to do one a Zoom meeting after Masada gets back, but I'm
Sounds
looking
good.
forward to meeting everybody in person. So
Sounds
have
good.
a great night, everybody, and
Peace out,
most
brothers.
of all, be safe and have a happy holiday.
Peace
Peace
out,
and love.
brothers. Okay.